I know I'm early, so I ain't tripping on it. Um, and if nobody comes, it does not matter, cause this is some good info. I'm gonna be sharing it just the same. All right, all right. I mean that. What the heck? No, just me. Hi, I'm early. So, no rush. But I'm really excited to share this information today. And just getting ready for this live, I was like, dang, stepped on my toes a couple times. But it's all good. We're going to heal, learn, and grow together, right? Why not? Hi, guys. Come on inside the room. That's tap time. Because I do watch her obsessively. I know that I'm a little early, guys. I just wanted to give people time. And as I've already said, if nobody comes, honey, I'm going to share this information today because, hey, Crystal, I haven't seen you in a while. But yeah, I'm going to share this information today because Spirit definitely guided me to this info. And from what I already knew, like my understanding has grown in such a way where I was like doing my little research to get it together for y'all. And I was like, oh, girl, that's probably why in the past couple of days they've been really putting that message on me um, to not look at how much more you have to do. Because as soon as I finished like getting my little outline and taking my notes together, I was like, dang, I thought I had come a long way on my healing journey. I still got a lot to go. But it's all good because I know what I was, honey, and I am not that no more. So hey, we're gonna celebrate the victories, okay? Okay. Let me see. Crystal, I hope you're doing really good. Haven't seen you in so long. Or heard from you anyway. But yeah, we'll start. We'll start on time, so I'm gonna give them a couple more minutes. I logged in really early just to try to get things together. And my friend Kay is not joining me today. Well, she has a lot going on with her family anyway. But so we didn't really have time to do the test. I was gonna use StreamYard, and I'm like, we gotta test that beforehand because I haven't used it since I did that collaborative reading with Tantalus Oracle. I miss you too. But then I get ready to log into the live on YouTube, and they have a new feature where we could have just done it straight through their app and not have to use an outside app. So that's okay. That just lets me know and confirms that, okay, we'll do it in the future for sure. And it'll be easier. Talk about some overthinking. I swear. But it's all good. So, guys, I'm definitely going to be sharing some information. And if you know me, right, the things that I share are based on what I have learned, mostly because I've experienced some things and then I feel inclined or guided to um research. You know what I'm saying? Research. Or spirit will drop something in my lap that I know was meant for me and others, right? And I'm learning that way. And so I'm definitely going to share some things with you that I've experienced, but yeah, some of this, like even on my own journey, I still have some work to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that. Um, I'm really happy with where I am now, but it's a lot, y'all. And I don't want to say it like that, like it has to be overwhelming, but it's good information, and it'll really have you looking at yourself like, well, dang, I thought I was, I thought it was a little further along than that, you know. But it's all good. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get started. Because I have actually been on here now for about, what, almost 7 minutes. So I guess that's long enough. So my homegirl and I, we were on the phone 2 days ago, I think. And it was like, girl, I don't know how we ended up into this conversation, but you know what? Spirit knows, universe is so intentional. And so we were having this conversation where we ended up talking about that divine feminine energy and distorted feminine energy, but we were specifically speaking on how it shows up in relationships, you know. um but that's what I was going to say. So I'm definitely sharing information, but I definitely value your input as well. So if you want to share, it's a circle, it's all good. Okay. But yeah, so I was like, girl, that's a whole conversation that needs to be had publicly. I wish she was here with me. But like I said, she got some stuff going on, and yeah, that has her busy and distracted for sure. So we'll have to catch her on the next go round. And I'm gonna try to keep looking up so that if you guys are leaving comments and I can see them as they come. But yeah, so you guys know we are in this thing, right, where they call the age, they call it the age of Aquarius. Um and really it's just like a real time of change. It's a time of healing, it's a time of restoration, right? So I feel like what's been happening, because I always wonder, like, why does it seem, and fellas, if you are a fella, one of y'all is a fella, I know Crystal ain't a fella. Fellas, if you have seen, um I mean, if you are here and seeing this, but I just wonder, like, okay, why does it seem like the women are so much further along? Like we seem to be more emotionally mature, and this is definitely not true of all, because it's a whole lot of distorted energy out there, period. We seem to be so much further along. And so as I was doing my research on our healing journeys and whatnot, as I was doing my research, um the explanation that I saw that really made sense was that over the years we've been in this energy, this masculine energy. Because why? Because we were a growing nation, right? We were evolving. But what has happened is that masculine energy has been dominant for so long. Now we are in that space. I'm trying not to look at that counter go in and out where people keep jumping in and out of this thing, because one, I already know that this message is not going to be for everybody. Why do I know that? Because some people like their distortion, right? They're not going to want to do the work to heal. Okay, so I understand that and I'm fine with that. But I'm trying to not be annoyed by whoever keep ducking in and out. It is annoying. Let me see if I can take that off of there. No, I cannot. Oh well. But anyway, so the universe, us, the globe, society, we've been in this masculine energy for so long. It's like, okay, we've been in that energy of getting things, using things, getting, like acquiring so much, using people, using resources, using energy, um dominating, wanting to dominate either other people or society or just rule, right? This drive for power and authority and dominion. And it's like, okay, now God is like, okay, well, time to ease up on that masculine energy and call in the divine feminine to balance out the two, right? Because we've been in that energy for so long, I feel like it's almost distorted because that's typically the order that society is teaching us is the best. Like it's bigger and better and get, accumulate and work. What do they say? Hustlers don't sleep, or you know what I mean? Where they feed us this falsehood that we have to be busy doing, and that is masculine energy. But when it becomes distorted in a way that you are not caring about who you hurt in the process, who you isolate in the process, who you use in the process, right? As long as you get what you wanted or you get what you got, then that's distorted energy. So I feel like the universe now is going through a shift, a major shift where the feminine energy is being guided to take over. So that's why I feel like the women are far more advanced than the masculine are in this awakening, in this shift that's happening. So let's start out with the feminine and masculine energy. We all have both of those within us, right? Every man, every woman. It's not really something that's gender specific, but I just saw 12:12 on the clock. It's not really something that's gender specific, but it is something that, like, the magic of it is in balancing the two, right? Because they're both necessary, but the key and the trick is to get them to work together in harmony. So once you master those within yourself, and then you meet your divine counterpart, or you connect to your divine counterpart, and you guys are kind of like matching puzzle pieces, right? So it's all about the ebb and flow of those energies. Because we both have them, it's going to be necessary for both of us to use them at certain times, right? So it's the magic is in knowing when to push or pull. Perfect way to say it. Push or pull, right? So yeah, like I said, it's not determined by gender. And then one is going to usually be more dominant in you as an individual than the other. So, like, as single mothers tend to be people who are used to or accustomed to having to do it all, right? So, hey, Kiosh, thank you, babe. Yes, girl, and I'm telling you, even in like just doing my readings for feminine and for the masculine, you can really see the difference. And so I feel um like the difference in how far along they are. So it's showing up as emotional immaturity. It's showing up as that user energy, that narcissistic energy, because that quest for power or to overrule someone or override someone or have someone under your control is like got grown out of hand. And so we are now being guided to tap back into our feminine energies, and women are just leading the way with that. Why? Because feminines is like a natural for us. It's a natural innate thing for us. Okay, so that's what I was about to say. Like, one is going to usually be more dominant than the other in you as an individual. And women, we typically default to the feminine energy, and men typically default to the masculine energy. But yeah, so in a relationship, even in your platonic connections or your family connections, you can see it in like a best friend duo, best friend dynamic. I was thinking about my former best friend, because we don't talk anymore, but I was thinking about our connection. Even in that connection, I was definitely more masculine, and she was more of the feminine energy. She was not like, we were both like, dresses and makeup and hair and whatnot, but that's just it. That feminine energy is much deeper than that. I was the more aggressive one, for sure. I was the more outspoken one. I was the more just say I was the more masculine one. Let's say it like that. I was more masculine. Okay. And so I saw that, I was able to look at that relationship and see that dynamic. So a part of our healing, for one, is definitely going to be to observe that dynamic, right? We definitely had a codependent connection. And I was thinking about that as well. Like that distorted energy is usually and often codependent. Um, and for her, she just transferred that codependency from our connection to her marriage. Okay. Yeah. I get it. I would get into that, but I won't get into that. Okay. But that's exactly what happened. Anyway, so let's talk just a little bit about what this feminine energy is, what this divine feminine energy is. The divine feminine is going to be more of the go with the flow kind of energy. Um, it's more fluid, right? They tend to be more emotional, following their hearts. They're attached more to that creative side. Girl, that's it, girl. We both can't be the quiet ones. Do you hear me? Like for real. And that's what it was. She was more quiet, and I was definitely more outspoken. And when we would meet people, they'd be like, "Why your friend so mean?" Because she just sitting back there quiet. And I'm like, she really is not mean. Like, yeah, I'm the mean one. I'm just, an extrovert most of the time. But in reality though, it's so crazy because I was probably the more wounded one. You know what I'm saying? So it's really like it's not at all about gender. But yeah, so we just kind of in that energy, in that divine feminine energy, you are more inclined to tap into your creative side. So that's going to be whatever it is that you can use, that you're born with, like a gift, a talent, or skill, to add to creation in some way. That could be like decoratively, like, get yourself all cute or whatever. It could be that. It could be something that you create physically with your hands. It could be music, songs, any of those things. It could also be creating life, right? Goosies, because the divine feminine is responsible or charged with that task of creating life. Um, yeah, and when you're in that energy, of course, you're going to find inspiration, or you're going to create that inspiration and inspire others, right? You hear all the time of women's intuition. And so yeah, when you are in your divine feminine energy, your intuition is going to be much stronger. I feel like as I was thinking back, as I learned that today or yesterday, I don't know, I was thinking back about when my journey first was kind of really unfolding. Like that's really what did it. Like my intuition was off the chain, where I was like, how the freak did I know that? Like I was surprising myself, where people would be like, oh, you always, oh, I don't know why, but okay, you're right. Like it's just happening, right? Um, it's definitely that softer energy, but you can also have masculines who are in that softer energy too. I was watching MJ Harris today or yesterday, I don't know, and he also he something he said was like, I'm a feminine masculine, right? And I'm like, yeah, as long as, does it, Crystal? Like as long as you know, yeah, as long as um, you know, you can identify it. You have this understanding of who you are as a person, right? Because like I said, one of the two is going to be dominant in you. Okay, so you're in that strong intuitive state. And I know, girl, you remember I told you like several times, Crystal, you are super intuitive. You have really strong intuition. And so I feel like that is a gift from the universe for us as feminine to tap into that energy, to tap into that side, because we are going to be called in to be the lead and the example. And the distorted masculine, when he is and the masculine, when he's in a distorted energy, his intuition is not going to be strong. His intuition is not going to be as strong. So and that made me think, when I saw that, it's like I had some homeboys where I'd be like, now I know you saw that coming. You didn't see that coming? And they're like, no. But of course they didn't see it coming, because their intuition is not like ours. But even in the, if especially if they're in a distorted energy, they could just be clueless. You know what I'm saying? I remember talking to one of my friend girls about her friend, and I'm like, I assure you, I assure you that he does not understand that, and you're gonna have to explain that all the way out. Like, don't assume that he knows, because they don't have the understanding that we have because of that intuitive difference. Not what the hell is intuition? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that feminine energy, you're just in your goddess energy. You're gonna be more nurturing. And I actually had a friend. He passed away. Like, it's been some years now though, but he had a degree in counseling in social work, and so he worked with juveniles, special needs kids, all those people. But he was such a wise young man. And rest in peace, Kenny Pooh. I miss you so much often. um Whoosh, I would have made myself cry for nothing. Because I do, I miss him. But something that he was telling me, like I was going to say, as single moms, right? We tend to be in that masculine energy more or for a longer period of time. And then we get so used to being in that space, it's hard to turn it off, right? It's hard to dial it back some. And so he would hear me like going off on my sons, right? Um, and he'd be like, don't talk, not both of them, don't talk to him like that, Tiff, because like you're the mom, and he has his dad in his life. He actually lives with his dad now. He's like, you're the mom, you're supposed to be his soft place to fall. And I'm like, but I don't want to be too soft, you know what I'm saying? But he's like, but that's what he needs from you, you know? And so that really made me be more aware of how I communicated, especially with my own children and what I was creating in them by always being in that masculine energy, right? Because I'm like, I don't want them to be soft. So instead of saying, pick that up, get that shit up, I might be a little extra rough with it. You know what I mean? And that's distorted masculine energy. But then you get so used to, especially when you're single and you're in that stressful energy, or that always stressed out or often stressed out energy, feeling like you have to do it all, because why? You do have to do it all, right? It's easy to fall into that place and stay in that place. If you are a person, feminine's another example of this. If you are a person who is used to being the boss, right, on your job, and you're in that leadership role, then when you come home and you're part of this partnership with your spouse or your partner, then you have to know how to dial that masculine energy that you've been in all day, dial that back and step into your feminine role with your partner. And that's such a tricky thing for me, because I feel like a lot of masculines are attracted to my masculine energy. But then when I'm softer in the relationship, it's like they mistake that kindness for weakness, you know? And so when I was in that distorted feminine energy, um, that was easily allowed. You know what I'm saying? It was easily allowed, because I was not in a good and healthy and balanced space my damn self. So, and I certainly didn't know the things that I know now, or myself either, the way that I understand and know and love me now, and value myself now. So that's another thing. You're going to be a softer energy when you're in that feminine energy, more grounded, less emotional all over the place, right? You also have stronger boundaries, and you're comfortable with that. See? Yeah, girl, but when you are, see, because when you in that energy and you at work, you have to really dial it back when you come home to deal with the people that you love, right? Because you can't stay in that energy, because in order to have this balance and this healthy, first of all, you got to be able to allow him to be right. You have to allow him to be the man. You have to allow him to be that masculine. But you in your masculine energy is like, this ain't why I got in a relationship, to be with, from a man's point of view, to be with another man. So like, you need to tap into that feminine side. But I think we get so accustomed to being in it, we forget. And then we have to check ourselves. That's when we have to check ourselves, or they check us and tell them, hey, you is not, and tell us, hey, you're not my boss too, But yeah, so definitely that energy. When you are in a more in your divine feminine energy, also you're gonna have stronger boundaries, right? Because you are someone who is assured of your self-worth and your self-value, right? So you're not gonna have a problem telling somebody, hey, Not today. You know what I'm saying? Even though that seems aggressive, or not even aggressive, just it's an assertiveness that you're going to be comfortable in, because you know how to set boundaries and how to stick to those. And what I do feel like too, as I was reading these things, is that that energy, that balance and that imbalance energy, it kind of comes and goes, right? It's in and out. It's a fluid situation, because, like, depending on what you're. I'm trying to take my socks off, y'all. Hold on. Depending on what you're dealing with at the time, you know what I'm saying? It's like you may be more assertive, you may be more aggressive, you may be like in that action mode. And so it's like I just don't have time to soften right now, especially like I said, single parents. um but yeah, you also are, when you're in that divine feminine energy, you're going to be more self-respecting. You're going to honor yourself in a way, because you honor yourself and because you value yourself. That's what you exude, and so that's going to be what you expect in return. So when people cross that boundary where they are disrespecting you, or they are not honoring you, or they're not valuing you, you're not going to have a problem walking away from, or cutting that person off, or cutting that relationship short, right? Because, oh, you don't treat me like I treat myself, so this shit not gonna work, right? It's just not gonna work. um Also, divine feminine energy is more empathic. I don't even know if I want to say empathic or empathetic. What y'all say? I don't know. You know what I'm saying, though? You're able to put yourself in other people's shoes, right? So, whereas in that masculine energy, it may just be like, okay, we're going to do this way to handle this situation, and that's it. But even masculines need to sometimes dial into that more feminine energy so that they can rule from a more balanced space, or make moves from a more balanced emotional space. Because why? Because they're able to put themselves in that person's shoes, whoever it is that they're dealing with. Also, yeah, feminines tend to prioritize their feelings over logic. Now, in distortion, we may place more importance on our feelings than what is the logical thing to do, and that can kind of lead to like some irrational imbalance, right? So it's like a fine line. That's why I said it's a lot, because it's, if you have not really been a person that's practiced that energy for a while, then you have to really be like, dang, I did do that. Like, I did that, and I was in that energy for a long time. You know, divine feminines are also good communicators, right? Like, they not cussing their kids out, or anybody else for that matter, because they are comfortable with self-expression, that creative energy, self-expression is creative energy. You are thinking of a way to express yourself, to get your point across in a way that the person that you're talking to understands you, and what you're saying is clear for them and for you, right? So feminine energy is good communication. Also, it's more rational, it's more calm. So, like, again, um let me, another example. I was gonna say, not just me yelling at my children when they was little, because my children grown now for the most part. I have an 18-year-old and a 22-year-old. But even when I was working in the school system, I thought of this example. One of my coworkers, right, because I was definitely a leader on the job. Um, she was like, and I feel like the way that I carried myself kind of demanded respect from the kids, but they also knew that I cared and loved for them. So that's one place that I feel like was really helpful in my growth, because it allowed me to really tap into both sides. But when my awakening journey started, that feminine energy started really flaring up. I can't lie, I got a lot softer. But with some of the kids that I dealt with, I felt like it was also super necessary, right? Where they still knew who I was. So so they weren't gonna try me too hard, but they also knew that I was gonna be the nurturing energy. So, like, it wouldn't be the end of the world if they do this or that. So, like, one of my coworkers was like, come on up here. Come on up here and talk to Miss Henry. That's me. And so she brings me up here, brings him up to me and tells me what he did. And, I just give him a little chat, like, okay, and go back to his seat. She looked at me. She was like, what have you done with Miss Henry? What is wrong with you? You know, he needed to be fussed at, you know. And I was like, I really don't feel like he did. I think he understood where I was coming from. He was probably shocked too that I didn't lean on his tail, because he probably deserved it. He was a little toot. But at the same time, I know he needed that nurturing capacity in me too. But at some point, like when my awakening journey was first getting underway, it was just an automatic where I was in that feminine energy more so. Like, talk about some dominance, that was dominant. And my coworkers and friends and family was like, what have you done with her? Even when I was thinking about that the other day, even when I was in my relationship with my son's dad, my brother-in-law was like, wow. Like, he could see, he said, I can see your energy feels like a lot lighter. And I remember that, and it's been a long time ago, okay? He's like, your energy feels like a lot lighter. I can see you're more happy and you're more, you know, these different things. And I was like, yeah, that's what it was, because I was able to fall back into my feminine energy. Whereas when I was solo, I was having to do everything. I was having to worry about everything. I was, you know. So yeah, I got to be more of the nurturer role, because I didn't have to be so much of the disciplinarian 24/7. If that makes sense. Does that make sense, y'all? But yeah, and then also something else, which I feel like this is part of the imbalance that's been created across the globe in society, period. That's been building, right? So for years, we were in this space where it's like, okay, let the man be the man, right? And you allow them, because in their divine energy, they want to be the provider. They want to be your stability. They want you to depend on them. And so, as a feminine, we're taught to fall back. And so, I feel like something that has happened is almost like it backfired on us, right? So now we have a lot of feminines who are in an energy where they are regressing to that stage of like the damsel in distress. That is not divine feminine energy, y'all. Waiting for somebody to be saved, to save you, waiting for someone to rescue you, like being in that energy where it's like everything is gonna be so much better, everything's gonna improve once I get a man, or once I'm in a relationship. No, 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 no. Now this is something that, and I don't know why. I guess so that I would have this understanding of it. I was gonna say I don't know why, because I ain't never really been that type. But spirit really shows and showed me that a lot. That the divine feminine and in her energy is going to be self-sufficient. So it's like, I'm not waiting for you to come into my life and complete me. I'm already complete, and I'm fulfilled in my contribution to the world, to society, and what it is that I do, and in providing and taking care of myself. So then when you come in, we just have this whole bigger dynamic. It's not that because you came in, now I'm able to do this. No, but a lot of us, a lot of feminines are in that energy of like, well, when this person comes or when this relationship shows up, then it's gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Like everything will be fixed. That's when we get disappointed, because when we think that one has shown up and we still have that empty feeling, or that emptiness, or that feeling of not feeling fulfilled, it's like, why? Because you had not grown in your own self-sufficiency before you attached to a partner. Does that make sense, y'all? I'm telling y'all, this should get deep. It get deep. I feel like it was deep. Anyway, so let's move on to the divine masculine energy. Okay. You heard me say, like, the female is more of going with the flow. Not female, that's the wrong word. The feminine energy, because like I said, we all have both, right? So the magic comes when knowing when to push that energy or pull that energy back. So sometimes that feminine energy is necessary, and sometimes that masculine energy is going to be necessary, because that masculine energy is that get shit done energy. It's the one that is all about action. It's more action oriented. So the divine masculine, not distorted. The divine masculine energy is going to be about doing and being, right? They crave stability. Not only crave it, they value it, stability and predictability, as well as dependability. But they don't just value it; they're open to creating it, and that's something that, as a child growing up, and it's not just me. I didn't have that. I didn't have a lot of male examples within my family anyway. Well, that's a lie. I had a whole lot of distorted masculine examples in my family from men. A lot. Okay. So yeah, so seeing, well, the men from my church or whatever that were where I grew up, I could definitely see these things in them. Um but it's like you don't really realize that when you're living that experience. So it takes like living through those things and doing shadow work or going back to look at those things to really see where you missed out. Does that make sense? um so yeah, because a divine masculine is going to want to be the provider. The divine masculine wants to protect you. The divine masculine wants that stability, and they're going to help you create that in not in just their own lives, but in your life as well. If they are in a counterpart type of relationship and connection, um, let me give you an example of this one. Well, if you in a, let me just say it this way, so I got to call nobody out. If you are in a connection where this man seems to be living off of you instead of contributing in an equal way, or wanting to be the one that shows up, is present and stable and consistent, then yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's everybody in my family in the past anyway. Not everybody. I do have two uncles who were, well, one who is divine masculine energy in a really good and stable way, right? For sure. But the crazy part is, that's one, but I had like 10 damn uncles. It's a sad reality. So that's what I'm saying. So most of them were in that distorted masculine energy, you know? Um, but yeah, so the divine masculine, he is independent, right? He not waiting for some female, like what they call it, homosexuals, trying to see who they can get with so they have some place to stay. That kind of energy, that is not divine, honey. That is distorted. Okay. They are also someone who uses their creative energy. They think creatively, but their goal in that creative thinking is to solve problems, right? To fix it. Whereas it's like, they want to be your problem solver. So say you've probably heard this example before, where I have a homegirl, or an example like this. I have a homegirl who would tell her husband, like, okay, like sometimes I just need to vent. That's our emotional side. I just need to vent. I'm every time I tell you something is, and it wasn't even her husband. It was like her homeboy. Every time I tell you something, yes, he was gay. Um, every time I tell you something, it's not for you to fix it. Sometimes I just need you to be an ear, right? But that masculine, that divine masculine energy, when we telling them our problem, is trying to figure out, how can I make this better for her? How can I fix this for my divine feminine? Right? It's that kind of energy. So, and it's sexy. It's sexy, especially if, like me, you ain't used to that, right? Um, but yeah, so this is someone, they have that fixer energy. Also, that divine masculine energy is going to be comfortable with challenges, whereas we see a lot of masculines now in that distorted energy. So when they feel challenged or opposed, what do? Well, they get guns, or they get aggressive, or they go over the top, or they do the opposite and they retreat, they withdraw, they become passive, they are easily controlled. That kind of energy, right? Instead of being comfortable to stand their ground and stand in their own energy and assert themselves in a way that's not overly forceful, right? Yeah. It's a lot. I told Ain't it a lot? It's a lot. Okay. So yeah, the divine masculine is also strong willed, in a way, like a determined type of way. Okay. They're focused. They think very clearly, so their clarity is usually good when they're in that balanced energy. Um, and like I said, they also value structure. They value rules. They don't feel restricted by the thought of going home to the same person every day, right? Whereas the distorted masculines be like, you supposed to be with one person for the rest of your life, like, and I'm not even saying that that's it. That you have to be with somebody for the rest of your life to be divine, baby. That is not my belief at all. Cause right, if we're not growing together, we just not growing together. But I'm saying like the stability of it, the consistency of it, right? I know I had a female client who was in a relationship, but it's like if there wasn't some type of drama or toxicity going on, she was not comfortable, right? So when things would get good, and I had to show this to her, I showed this to her through tarot, okay? Yeah, so yeah, don't tell me what tarot ain't. It's so valuable. Anyway, I showed this to her through tarot, but when things would go good and they get kind of quiet, was when she felt the need to want to go out, want to party, want to meet new people, right? And then she ended up doing what? That distorted masculine thing where she cheating on him or talking to somebody else, or now she don't want to be bothered with him because she got somebody else's attention because he's so predictable and he. But that's you and your distortion. It ain't even him. So spirit trying to separate y'all, but it's for his benefit, not yours. Um, yeah, ain't that, baby? I told you this information. It'll step on your toes, honey. But yeah, so the divine masculine energy is going to value that structure. They value those rules. But also a distorted energy, when that energy is distorted, that masculine may be one to seek to overpower in a relationship or partnership. And you can see that even in society, in relationships or friendships, or how they choose to run their companies or their businesses, right? Where they rule with an iron fist. That's distorted masculine energy. Because not only do you want the power, but you feel like that having that power has to be forceful. And it just does not. It's not the truth. That's a distortion. And also, they exude like an external strength. Like you can look at them and think like, that's all man right there. That kind of energy. So they exude that in their personality. So and of course, like I said, the divine feminine and divine masculine, we are the same. Like we're like fitting puzzle pieces. The feminine is going to be more left brain. That's that creative side. The masculine, right brained. That's that logical side, right? But when we come together, it's like a puzzle fitting perfectly, right? So the distorted energy is going to be when any of those things are in excess, right? Or so it's like you are overly aggressive to show your masculinity, or you are, for feminine, you may be so emotionally withdrawn that you're almost emotionless, and that's going to put you in more of a passive energy, if that makes sense, right? So let's talk about distortions completely. Yeah. So in that distorted masculine energy, you might have the alpha male, and the male, the masculine automatically thinking, okay, to be the alpha is to be the winner. When, like I said, the magic is in the balance of the two. So you don't have to be the leader of the pack to know that you are still a valued member of the pack, right? But a lot of masculines get in that energy like, if I ain't the top, I don't want it, right? But everybody's position and role is valuable. So it's like knowing when to move forward and when to fall back. Okay. So they may be, like I said, preoccupied with power. They have that desire to get, to reject, to use, or to dominate. And so they're in that energy and they're willing to do it at all costs, like by any means necessary, right? So they may be overly attached to competition. And I feel like that's what's been happening Also on a global scale, where you you may have people who are more materialistic, or they just are discriminatory in some way, because of race, because of sex, because of religion, just like a level of intolerance. Whereas that divine feminine energy is going to be more tolerant of these things, knowing that everybody plays a vital role, a vital part. So when you are balancing those components within yourself, is you're not threatened by other people's positions or stations in life. Does that make sense? I hope so. That distorted masculine energy is going to also be that mindset like anything more and bigger is better. And that's just not the truth. That's why we've become such a wasteful society, from the point of trash to food to mansions or whatever the case, right? We are in that mentality like if we have more, and if it's bigger, then it's the best, and that is just not the truth. And you see that feminine energy kind of taking over, in that we are, a lot of people are becoming more minimalist, right? They're realizing, okay, we're using up resources, so they want to leave a smaller, lesser blueprint on society. So we have the electric cars, or the, I don't know, the hybrids, the tiny homes, those types of things, right? But it's a fight even with the tiny homes, because everybody want to be able to get something from somebody. So the same thing that I'm paying for my little 300 square foot tiny home, you want me to pay the same property taxes and land as those people, when it's like, yeah, but that comes from that capitalism, like money, money, money. Everything is valuable and should cost, and I should be able to get something from you for this, right? Even if it's like, yeah. So I got, baby, I'd go into a whole nother thing on that. But yeah, the distorted masculine energy is definitely more relentless. They tend to lack integrity because remember, like I said, it's like by any means necessary, right? So that doesn't matter who they offend. They're not conscious of who they isolate as a result of it. All they want to do is win. So in a partnership or relationship, that could be, just getting you out of your drawers, telling you whatever they need to tell you to get you out your drawers. So the goal was to get the drawers, right? So they'll be gladly in that distorted masculine energy as long as they get it, and then mission accomplished, and you don't hear from them no more. That Knight of Wands energy, here for a good time, not a long time, willing to say and do any and everything just to like reach that goal. But a divine masculine is not going to be in that energy. Period. Ain't even no explanation needed on that. They just not. Okay. Um, Distorted masculines, cha, are also emotionally immature. Okay. Like I said, there's overly competitive energy. There's that deceptive energy. There's that energy of that narcissism, where when you when you feel like or realize that you are not being treated correctly, and when you withdraw your energy, they throw tantrums or they guilt trip you into trying to make you feel a certain type of way, and you're confused. They're like, oh, he does love me. No, he loves that power and that control that he had over you. That's that distorted energy. That's what source, the divine, God, universe, whoever it is that you are subscribing to, that's what God is saying is getting out of control, which is why that feminine energy, that divine feminine energy, is being awakened right now to kind of take the lead and lead by example in that regard. The distorted masculine may also be super insecure, super self-conscious. And what happens in a relationship when you're super insecure? Jealousy, right? Jealousy, paranoia of every little thing. Like, did you look at the bus boy? Like, he passed me my plate. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? That kind of energy. Super self-conscious, where, and this is even in, this can show up in that feminine energy as well. We'll get to her though. Like I said, seeking to overshadow or to overpower you, just not really open to showing any mercy, because why? They are not in that empathetic energy. They're not thinking about you because they're only thinking about what they want for themselves, right? And not who they got to step on to get it. But the crazy part is, like I said, these energies are in both men and women. So as I was going through this to prepare this for y'all, I was like, you can really see if you look around in society how so many women are in this energy. And that's a result of us having been conditioned to think and to act and to move that way, right? Is I'm trying to think of a really good example. But yeah, oh, something else that's really big in a distorted masculine energy. Failure to take accountability. Honeys, now if y'all follow me or have followed me at all for a little while, like a 2022, the accountability has been my word of the year because I'm just like, wow, I can just really see how we don't enforce it, right? Even as parents to children, we'll go above and beyond to, like, don't talk to my child that way, or you don't talk to my child, you don't correct my child, you don't tell my child what to do, right? So we teach our children that, even when they wrong, they shouldn't be held accountable. We hide out criminals, right? We see the Shanquella Six that are on the run right now. Somebody hiding their asses, okay? Let's come on now. Somebody hiding them. Instead of allowing them to be held, yes, and instead of allowing them to be held accountable for their actions, we go above and beyond to enable a criminal or a wrongdoer, or to kind of rationalize. That's distorted masculine energy as well. Extreme rationalizing, right? Like, well, they had to do it like that because so and so, so and so. No, they didn't, right? They didn't. And for you to okay that, you're the enabler. So you're adding to the problem of the lack of accountability. So as we teach our children that, it turns into these children grow into adulthood. So they grow into adults who can't take no, right? Who don't want to hear a no. So when they get a no, because we've been enabling all our lives and not holding them accountable, when they get a no, they don't know how to act. They shooting people or each other or themselves even, or just a higher crime rate. Period. I feel like that distorted masculine energy is showing up everywhere. And then, definitely last but not least, is the fear of intimacy, honeys. And we know that shows up in masculine and feminines. But I feel like something that I have seen both personally and like through the readings that I've done is that a lot of masculines and feminine confuse sexuality or sexual energy or the exchange of sex with intimacy. And those two things are not the same at all. And so when I say fear of intimacy, I mean, when I say fear of intimacy, I mean fear of showing your emotions or expressing your emotional side, and either being judged for it or treated differently because of it, or just being so uncomfortable with the potential that whoever you're sharing your feelings or emotions with may hurt you. Like, it's almost an energy of developing a trust issue with everyone, even if they haven't given you a reason not to trust them, right? It's that kind of energy. I was, man, Spirit is so intentional. When I tell you Spirit is so intentional, Spirit is so intentional. I didn't watch it because, I just can't stand that damn 50 Cent. But when Terry Crews um, came out and let the world know that he had been sexually assaulted essentially by a top producer in Hollywood. He better than me because I would have gave his name. We gonna tell it all. We gonna tell it all, right? But he was saying how the man had grabbed his genitals, and 50 Cent was like, "Why you ain't knock him out?" Well, because I can still be assertive and comfortable in my masculinity without getting physical. But that distorted masculine is going to think that violence is the answer or the cure or the solve for everything, right? that's a little, that's a slippery slope. That's why I'm like, I ain't that evolved, because I probably would have punched that ass too. But but that is not what God would want us to do. Okay. So I feel like it was just a real example of how balanced Terry Crews had grown to be as a result of his therapy and all that. So I just am really impressed with him, because I know he's been in therapy, honey, and not only does he talk about it, but you can just see it in some of the things that he says and the way that he carries himself. And this is a man who is big and brawny and super muscular and big in stature, but his masculine feminine energy are in balance. Okay, so let's talk about us, ladies. Let's talk about us. I was gonna say real quick, but I ain't even rushing. Like I said, in the post, I'm definitely going to let this live upload, because I feel like it was such good information. Because like I said, I had a couple aha moments, or damn moments, as I was getting this ready for you. So I feel like it's really good information. So I'm gonna definitely make the live replayable. But hold on for 2 seconds. My fan on. I feel like it's disturbing my sinuses because I'm talking so much with this blowing. Anyway, so that distorted feminine energy, ladies, that distorted feminine energy will have you. It's like it's just distortion. First of all, let's talk about it. Distorted energy. Distorted is something that is is twisted or is moved or manipulated in a way that is not in its normal or natural shape or position. Okay, so distorted feminine energy is just a twisted version of feminine energy. Okay, so we may either, how can I show up? We can rely too much on our masculine energy, right? And it's like, okay, well, I still look like a female or feminine, but I'm still super aggressive. I remember when I was in college. I'll share it. Fine, I'll share it. I remember when I was in college, I had a homeboy and we was just friends. But but he was like, Tiff, I'm scared to mess with you because like you talk to dudes like I talk to girls. And at the time I thought it was so funny, but I also knew it was super true. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if he remembers saying that to me. But yeah, so it's like you rely so much on your masculine energy that it shows up as distorted feminine energy, because here you are, feminine, a female, you look like a female, you act like a female, but you may also be like overly sexual, overly aggressive, which Lord, I definitely was overly sexual. Yeah, you may also be overly emotional, and that could be dramatics in any way, like from crying to yelling to just overly reactive, over dramatic. Okay. You may also, like we discussed a little bit, be too allowing, right? And where it's like your friends looking at you like, you just gonna let him get away with that. It's like, yeah, I'll address it later, knowing damn well when later come, you're not gonna want to bring it up, right? That kind of energy. um you also don't trust the power of your feminine energy. So when you don't feel, you're not able to trust yourself to stay in that energy, then it's like the masculine side of you is going to take over, right? And I feel like that can be something that occurs at, from a product of your environment or your experiences, period, right? Like I said, when you felt like, or you feel like you've needed to be in that energy for so long, then it's like, well, shoot, no, because they're gonna mistake my kindness for weakness, so I can't be kind of none of these. You know what I'm saying? That way. Like I said, you may also be overly sexual or overly emotional. And that's usually the result of you trying to feel some type of void of emptiness, right? But the divine feminine energy is not going to need those things to be used to fill any voids, because she's always like, always, nope, already in an energy of fulfillment, of self-fulfillment, right? So I don't need to bang you, and you. And y'all know what I mean when I say bang. That's why I made this thing over 18, because I knew I was gonna probably say too much. Um, but you're not trying to fill a void by with all this fake ass attention where you goosing this guy. So it's like you validated because all these people want you, but then you still empty because you don't even love yourself, right? But you had their attention for a little while. So yeah, it's like desire, being desired and being valuable are not the same things, right? So it shows up in us as that distorted feminine energy. Okay. You may feel empty, like like I just was talking about, or helpless, that damsel in distress energy. And it can get to such a point where it's like a hopelessness almost, where it's like there's no point in me even trying because I'm just a girl, or it's not like if I had a man or a relationship, or I need a man to help me do this. And and I don't want to say it like you don't need a man, because I'm definitely in a space where it's not that I need a man, but you'll never hear me saying I don't want a relationship. I absolutely want a masculine relationship, a relationship with the divine masculine. But that's just it. I don't want the distortion. So it's not something that I'm rushing into because I know my worth and I know what I want and expect from him. And so I'm not going to settle for anything less than that. You know what I mean? So so when you have like that sense of personal power, you won't be feeling that helpless energy. You won't be feeling that energy, that empty energy. Okay. You know your worth, you know your value, and you're not settling for something just to say you have something, right? Like something is better than nothing. Not when your energy is in balance. It ain't like it. And I think I made that post several times before. Like you'd be so surprised at the shit you put up with. Like if I look back at some of the stuff that I allowed as far as my romantic relationships go, then compared to who I am now, whoo child, I really be having to take it easy on Tiffany. Like, what the hell was you thinking? But I also understand myself, so I know what I was thinking. I know that I didn't have like a strong sense of value or worth, right? So when people from your past try to reconnect with you and they see how much you've changed, they may hit you with, why are you so mean? Or why are you acting like that? No, because we don't have that type of relationship anymore. Like we don't have the foundation of the connection that I require now to have a sexual exchange with you, right? Y'all know what I'm saying. If you don't know what I'm saying, let me know and I will go on into detail. Okay, I'll break it down for real. But yeah, your sense of self-worth. So when let me give you another example. When I was going through this phase, where not this phase, the stage of my awakening, because it ain't a phase, because like once you learn these things, once you realize these things, once you step into this energy, there is no regression. Ain't none. Cause it's like I know too much now to go back to that, right? Um, but when I was stepping into that phase, that space where I'm loving myself and I'm valuing myself and I'm realizing I'm a queen, and I know I deserve better than this. And so I'm out with my friend. We've been dating for like 2 years, I guess, two, almost 3 years. He had a crib, I had a crib. So why are we in the car in front of my crib and you asking me to do things? I look, I said, why? Like, what the fuck a queen look like doing some shit like that? Like, I live over here. People can see me. They won't see you, but that's not even the point of it, really. I see me. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, okay, like you can't argue with that. You can't argue with my self-worth, right? You can't argue with how I value myself. You can try, but I think it was shocking for him. Not that I had done that with him before, because I hadn't, but I think it was shocking for him because I probably had been a lot more passive in our connection in those previous 2 years than I was becoming around that time anyway. I was already in a space where I was like, thinking about walking away from him anyhow, like being done with him anyhow. Um, and so when that happened, I was like, there, yeah, I think I probably cut him off like, he probably heard that too. I probably cut him off like 2 weeks later. Anyway, yeah. So the result of this, like feeling like you don't have a personal power, you may have suffered some type of trauma, like so much or for so long, or felt invisible for so long. This could have been the result of abuse, could have been the result of the rape, could have been the result of just feeling or being unloved, not being embraced, not being seen, not being heard, right? Where it's like at some point there's no point in using my voice because who wants to hear what I have to say, right? But that's because you've been in that energy for so long of shrinking or dimming your light to not stand out or in any way, right? So that energy becomes distorted where you're in an energy where like this is how females are supposed to act. No, it's not. This is how that feminine energy is supposed to act. No, it's not. Right? So it's distorted. Um, you also may have a hard time seeing your own beauty or your own worth or your own value, right? The beauty of your soul. And I'm not even talking about physical appearance. Even though I feel like that's important, right? It's just knowing that who I am on a heart level, on a soul level, Goosey's from this space is valuable. It's important. She's important and she's worth it. Worth solid, reciprocated, loving, supportive connections, right? And like I said, y'all, this is not energy that's exclusive to relationships. Um, this can be in friendships too. That's what something else that spirit showed me fairly early in this journey was the imbalance in a lot of my just personal relationships, my friendships even, right? Where I would drop what I'm doing to have this conversation to encourage you, and then say this particular call was initiated by you, and under the guise that you were calling to check on me. Here it is. We've been on the phone for 3 hours, and you ain't asked me what I had going on. None of this time. We only been talking about you, right? So spirit just kind of truth from experience. Y'all know that happens. Shit. Uh, so but yeah, so spirit was showing me how imbalance in my relationships was a pattern. It wasn't just my romantic relationships. It wasn't just my family connections. It was a lot of my friendships too, right? So you have to be willing to walk away from those connections that no longer serve you or that don't support you or that aren't reciprocated. But I feel like so many of us are afraid to do that because we fear those connections not being replaced by something better. But as you evolve and you step into this divine feminine energy, you're going to draw the tribe to you that's going to resonate with you. You're going to draw like-minded souls and individuals and masculine and feminine to you, right? Who can relate to you in a way that you're supposed to be related to, right? That distorted feminine energy may be an energy vampire. She's someone who is going to seek to fill her cup with fake love. So she may over sexualize herself and take a buttload of pictures to share on Instagram. So it's like she feels better because she getting all this attention, getting all these likes, right? Because why? Because she looks good, right? But when she get off of there, it's like unhappy, unfulfilled, not liking themselves. What I feel, and Spirit gave me this example today, and I'm not gonna call this person's name or anything, but there's a celebrity who recently went through a breakup. And what I see her doing now, she always posted pictures, but what I see her doing a lot of now is like she upped it. She she upped it and I feel like it is for her to prove to her followers or people that are watching that we broke up, but I'm still healing and I'm okay and I'm good. Because why? Because I got dressed and I'm cute today. And I was like, instead of doing that though, she probably needs to take a social media break so she can take some time to really get to know herself, to really focus on her healing instead of trying. Shut up, Kay. How you know? Instead of trying to prove to. I said I wasn't gonna say her name. Yeah, instead of trying to, hey girl, I didn't mean shut up, but uh, but yeah, instead of trying to prove her worth and her value to people that are following her, like focus on your healing for real, and you won't have nothing to prove. So when you show up, they'll see your healing. They'll see you are healing, and that you've healed in the way that you walk. Something that I noticed also is that she went from that relationship to now her brother is with her a lot, a lot, a lot. So that's very, very much so. Yeah, it'll speak for itself, exactly. But that's very much so what I was talking about earlier, that transference of that codependent energy. Okay. So she, not necessarily her, but this distorted feminine energy, I just 111 on the clock. She has her cup filled by draining someone else of their energy, right? Needing someone to vent, needing someone to be there, needing someone to, right, instead of just getting comfortable in yourself, with yourself and your thoughts, and focusing on your healing, right? This is also someone in that distorted feminine energy who may measure their beauty through their outward appearance, right? This is someone who is going to be obsessed with makeup, obsessed with hair, obsessed with, the latest trends, right? And they find their value and their worth in that. Speaking of friends, I used to have a friend who, and I'm not saying it's wrong, right? Because look, right, it's okay to get yourself together, and nobody should make you feel guilty about that. If this is what makes me feel good and makes me feel pretty, the problem comes when there is an imbalanced reliance on that, and you confuse that with feeling fulfilled, right? I used to have a homegirl. It'd be like, oh, we need to go get some toilet paper. So let's go to Dollar General. We both gonna roll because I might need some snacks too or some. And we was a codependent connection. So here I am, like, you ready? Wig off, you know what I'm saying? I just put my bandana on. Now give me a minute. Here we is, a damn hour later. She come downstairs with all her makeup on. Fool, we just going to Dollar General. Girl, I cannot leave the house without my makeup. That's a problem. It's a problem. It's distorted feminine energy, right? So it's that energy that says, well, I love myself because I look good. But it's distorted because the reality is, are you only loving yourself because you look good? You weren't comfortable enough to run around the corner to Dollar General. And we were just going in and out. Okay. Check that distortion. So when makeup doesn't work, this is something too that's super common in society. When that makeup doesn't work, it may lead to you being overly critical of your body, like body dysmorphia. You may end up doing things that harm your physical body as well. Such as all these dang plastic surgeries, right? That you see people having, or you may become addicted to brutal fitness, right? Brutal fitness regimes, where it's like, okay, the makeup's not enough. What else can I do to make myself feel fulfilled? Well, I'm gonna have a doctor sculpt the perfect body. By the time they finish, you looking like, y'all seen some of them, yeah, plastic and fake. Okay, so the divine feminine energy is comfortable in her natural beauty, and I'm not saying, like I said, that means no makeup, but you ain't addicted to it. I was thinking as I putting on my wig today for this thing, like, I don't know if y'all remember that time I had used apple cider vinegar on a bump that I had on my forehead, and I burnt my forehead. So I still have this dark spot, but it's not as dark as it was. It gets brighter. But anyway, so the pigmentation is evening out. But I was putting on my wig, and I was like, baby, when I get this thing to the normal color, I ain't never wearing makeup. I ain't doing this shit, but unless it's for special occasions, okay? Y'all gonna get to know the real Tiffany. That's what's gonna happen, all right? But and I didn't even have to put it on that part anyway, since I got bangs in this wig. But like for the most part, I feel a need to cover that up. But at the same time, even if I don't, right, I don't know. It's not something that I hide from. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, in you, if you're in that distorted feminine energy, you have that attachment to the fake or to a manipulated sense of perfection. Um, for example, when I first cut my hair off, when I first did the big chop, um, and now like I'm a Leo, so that's how I feel. Like I just really like big hair. I like big hair. I like long hair. Not only on myself, on other people too. Um, but spirit really showed that to me that a lot of times we use both makeup and wigs as a mask. So like when I first did the big chop and I'm not wearing my wig all the time, then I started missing it. Like, well, I could wear my wig sometimes. I remember sitting outside on the porch one day. I was gonna come do a video for something that spirit had inspired me to do. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up and do it. I'm gonna put my wig on. Baby, do y'all know a raccoon started walking by? Well, I thought it was a cat, right? And I was like, dang, that is the fattest cat I have ever seen. And I'm looking at it walking up the sidewalk, and he's walking and he stopped and looked at me like he didn't nod his head. He just stopped, looked, and kept going. And I think that was just to let me know, like, I'm a raccoon, I'm not a cat, right? So I was like, wait a minute, I'm into spiritual meanings. So I had to go figure out what the spiritual meaning of the raccoon was. Now, it can be, different animals, different times, different things. But because I was just in that moment thinking about, oh, I got to go put my wig on first, what it meant for me at that particular time was mask off, right? Because my wig was a mask. It was a mask of what I felt like was imperfection because I cut all my hair off. Does that make sense? Woo! I told y'all, baby Timmy be over here learning and earning, honey. And I'm not telling y'all nothing. I'm not sharing with you stuff that I haven't experienced or dealt with in some way, right? Like at all. Hell, I'm 44. I got a lot of experiences. A lot of them. Anyway, but in this particular time that we live in, and with the prevalence of social media, just imagine our young girls and our children and this energy and this pressure that they feel to look a certain way or to be in this energy of perfection all the time, constantly, because social media is really just usually a snippet or a highlight of the good, right? You're not seeing the struggles in the background. You're not. Well, I told y'all at the time. I showed y'all, and I had was wearing that damn thing on my forehead, so you could see it. You can see it. But I'm saying, but you're not seeing for the most part. They ain't showing you when you burn your when they burnt themselves and they got all these scars on their face from trying to use natural products to do healing regimens and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but social media pressures us to give that facade of perfection, and it's distorting feminine energy. You may also, as you get older, if you can't even relate to that, you may also in a distorted feminine energy develop an obsession with looking younger, right? And thus we have what now? We have the Botox craze, right? For every little wrinkle, not realizing that, hey, wisdom comes with that age. So what you're trying to hide is like a part of a natural life cycle. So what about you and your own sense of self makes you uncomfortable with that, right? Child, I was all on my feet up here. So and this is what else. So in your when you're in your younger phase, you're in your youthful phase. You're in that sexual potency as a youth, right? Then you move into the mother stage where you become a mother and focusing on that creative power and loving other people and other individuals. Then you moved into that age stage where you've gained all of this knowledge and wisdom and understanding from the experiences that you've had. And so, yeah, that's like the natural progression. But when you are in a distorted feminine energy, You want to stay in that youthful phase. So you may stay like super sexual or sexualize yourself. Um, or you may try to develop a connection with your children where they like your friends instead of you being their mother, right? But it's rooted in an obsession with not aging. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Um, the distorted feminine energy may also, just like the masculine, develop a fear of intimacy and a fear of vulnerability. But like me and my friend Kay was talking about the other day, um, when you've been in relationships with people that you know have either used your feelings against you or they have not made you feel safe enough to be vulnerable to fall back into that divine feminine energy, then that energy is going to be distorted. Because why? Because I don't trust you enough to be open emotionally with you. So I could have sex with you, but I'm not going to tell you what my heart feels. That's distortion. And been there, done that a lot. Okay. A lot. Okay. But that's also rooted in yes, remember we were just talking about that. It's also rooted in feelings where if I share my emotion with this person, maybe they won't love me if I tell them these feelings or if I share these feelings. And if this is not what this person wants, maybe they'll move away from me. But in divine feminine energy, I'm going to be comfortable enough to tell you this is what I'm feeling and this is what I'm not going to do if you aren't on that same level. And then I'm also intuitive enough to understand that the difference between when you just saying what you think I want to hear so you can get to that level, or you being genuine and authentic with me as well and allowing yourself to be vulnerable, like true intimacy. Okay. Whoo, child. That's another part of it as well. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable sometimes, then people may be able to see where you don't actually love yourself. I had a homeboy, and he really was just my homeboy. Super, I don't know about super wealthy family, but prominent family, well off. But on his social media, all he would ever post about were material things. I was about to say something. And like a lot of times I'll see somebody in like certain types of sports cars, and this is probably just me and my judgment because it doesn't have to be that. But my mom just be cracking up because I'd be like, look at them. They're like, say somebody speed through a residential neighborhood in a Ferrari, a red Ferrari, and he like 70 or something. It's like, that's giving little penis energy, right? Like, so my friend, the one who was, fairly, hey Shanice, who was fairly well off, he would post a lot, but it was always material. It was always um flashing money or flashing what he spent things on. Um and I know he what it wasn't related to genitalia size. I'll say that part. And we have never been like physically intimate, but I just know that that wasn't the case. But what me and my analytical energy was like, okay, yes, and on their other people's financial value, and they feel like because they have more of it, it makes them more valuable. But what I saw in my analytical energy was that okay, this baby hiding something. He's insecure in other ways, somehow emotional insecurity, because he feels like if I like if people gonna like me if I'm doing this, if I'm paying for this, if I'm showing I have this, right? So this is someone who is in a distorted energy. But women, we do the same thing. And it turns out it shows up in that gold digger energy. Okay. Where it's like, this is a nothing ass dude, but you more drawn to him because he got more money than this one who has been like a super loving, supportive, and kind best friend energy in your life for a really long time. Does that make sense? Who also wants a real connection or relationship with you. But you over here getting done by this person because he got more money, right? Distorted energy, distorted energy. Um, this is another thing, and I feel like this shows up on both sides of the scale here in masculine or feminine energy. But that unresolved pain that we carry from our past hurts and past relationships, we projected towards all men or towards all women. When I'm on social media or I'm commenting on something and I see somebody say, all that's how men be, or that's what, And whenever I see somebody make a general statement like that, where they are assigning a certain behavior to all men or all women, then I already know that you have an imbalance. There's something in you that you need to heal because um, when you are in a healed or a balanced state, then you know that your experiences are your experiences. These type of people may do that, but you know it ain't all men, right? So when you say things like "ain't no good men out there anymore," first of all, be careful what you say because your words have power. But when you make statements like that, it's usually coming from a place, a wounded place. It's not, and it's going to show up as distorted energy, and that's going to be on either side, masculine or feminine. Okay. Um, the distorted feminine may also fear conflict, right? So this is someone who is more fantasy driven, right? So they may be people who romanticize the relationship in a partnership. They would romanticize the connection because to not do so, they would have to see it for what it was, for the toxic connection that it is. And that's just not a nice place to be. So they fear conflict and they just sugarcoat shit. Okay. You gonna place pig on a lipstick. I mean, a lipstick on a pig, and then be like, that's a beautiful painting. No, no, it's still a pig. You know what I mean? You just put lipstick on it. So, in that distorted feminine energy, that's what many women do. I'm not saying all of us, because I don't feel like anybody really would necessarily like focus or be dominated by any of these traits necessarily at the same time. I can definitely see in my own life, in my own past, where I was in, where I did this thing more than I did this thing, where I was more passive for these few years, where I was more sexual for these few years, right? That's what I mean by that. Like I said, there's that false image of intimacy being 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 more sexual based, right? And so they may use their sexuality to control a masculine's mind. They may use that sexuality to entrap somebody to get them pregnant, or vice versa. Masculines, y'all do this too, and I was gonna say it too, so I just did write it here. But yeah, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna get him pregnant. I'm gonna get him pregnant. I'm gonna get pregnant by him, so he'll have to do this forever and forever, ever. Yeah. And it's so crazy. They use their sexuality to manipulate the other party. That's a distorted energy that you're in. And that's because you feel like in order for you to have or stay or maintain this connection, you would need to be pulling some tricks out of your hat, right? And a lot of times, women, I call them succubus, women use that energy to do just that, okay? And men do it too, honey, because, yeah, truth from experience, I have definitely had some people saying, that's what they was gonna do. Yeah, that's a good way to get cut off. Good way to get cut off. All right. Um, yeah. So what else do we have? Oh, so they use their sexuality and to manipulate, to control, right? So the male or whoever it is they're trying to control kind of becomes obsessed with their sexual energy, and they confuse that sexual energy for real love when it's not. It is a result of you being in distorted female energy or distorted feminine energy where you felt necessary to use your sexuality in an imbalanced way, really. And like I said, that can happen on both sides. With the masculine, I don't know. Have y'all heard this term, digmatized? He tried to digmatize me. Like, yeah, it's a real term. It is. It's a real term. So yeah, masculines do it, feminines do it. Um, okay, Shani, why you tell me that? This is not a tarot reading today, though. Um, what else was I gonna look at? Oh, yeah, people use the distorted energy, emotional and sexual entanglements to gain personal power, or that vampire energy to steal energy from other people. Y'all, I was dealing with somebody, and I was well into my ascension journey at this point, and we was on our last leg, kind of inconsistent. I didn't know if I wanted to deal with him. I could tell something was wrong with my energy whenever this fool would leave, and so I was last time, and it's been a while. I have not. I'm celibate right now. No, I'm not celibate. I'm abstinent. So I'm abstaining. Okay, until I find someone who I feel deserves that type of gift, honey. It's a gift. Anyway, so this person though, I was like, yeah, you can come over, right? So I was in a really good mood. I'm all excited. My vibe was high because then this is when I first started really manifesting and being conscious of my energy and my vibration and whatnot. And girls, he came over, and I even before the sexual exchange, I feel like just his vibration in general completely affected mine in a way, right? So here comes the sexual exchange where I'm giving him this energy and he's giving me his. Baby, when he left, I was in such a funky mood, and I realized it that day. Like, that was the last time, never ever again, right? Because I'm like, now he walking around whistling, and I'm over here like, he make me sick. Like, I'm over here cranky. I'm snapping at the kids all of a sudden. Where I was humming and singing before you left, and it's almost like we traded spaces. It's and that was really when spirit really made apparent for me the importance of and the value of that exchange, and being really choosy or particular about who you allow into your space, and fellas, who you share your stick with. Okay, right? You have to be very mindful of that, because this person, if I'm being honest, he's somebody who was um often depressed, often introverted, definitely deceptive, right? And so it's like when you exchange sexual energy with these people, you taking on what they dealing with, right? So yeah, now he happy because I was happy before he got here, right? So energy vampires, it's distorted energy. Just be aware of how people make you feel, or how you feel when you leave people. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, well, dang, I was in a good mood. Then that person came in here and shifted the whole energy of the room. Now everybody in here like bummed out. Like, why? Because that person might carry a type of vibration that you don't need to interact with. They might be in that distorted energy, and now here they are, right? Anyway, I started saying his name. I done wrote his name down and everything, honey. I meant to tell y'all that story. Also, distorted feminine energy. Something that came up today was that obsession that I was talking to my homegirl about. Obsession, that jealous energy, codependency, and you can, like I said, you can create that codependent connection in others through sex, or in your friendships, your partnerships, your relationships, right? Where it's like, uh, um, I feel like even me and my sister, my sister that passed away, Monica, I feel like even she and I had this type of connection as well, right? Where we would just be back and forth on the phone constantly. I remember one day she went to work. She worked for Bank of America. She went to work. It was like a blizzard, so wasn't nobody really working. But she was like, "Yeah, I'm going." So she went in, and then she was like, "I'm gonna just call you all morning." I was like, "That devil's a lie. You think she didn't call me all morning? She absolutely did." Where it was like, hang up the phone, and then like 5 minutes later, and I'm not exaggerating that at all, five, because I remember saying, "Damn, it ain't been but 5 minutes." Uh, when she called me back, like, "What you doing?" Well, the same nothing I was doing 5 minutes ago, right? Because we definitely had a codependent connection. At different points, in our life or whatever, we definitely had that time where we separated. But I feel like those were times where either she or I transferred that energy to a different connection or friendship or relationship. So yeah, that can happen with your friends, that can happen with your coworkers. You can even show up in that distorted energy with your children and even with your parents, right? Where it's a codependent situation, but that is a distorted energy. Um, Example, definitely have been that way for me and my own mom, where my sister used to ask me, like, "Why do you care so much what she thinks?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." But that's before I started working on my healing and doing the digging and understanding some of the childhood wounds that I had and had carried. So yeah, definitely codependent in that connection as well. Um, and that codependent energy is something that you can see in the music that we listen to here in our society as well. That things that are promoted. There's a song called "Without You" by Mariah Carey, where it's a codependent love, but they confuse it with true love, right? Check that out. It's called "Without You" by Mariah. Um, yeah, so like I said, your individual expression or the way you express yourself, or feeling like if I'm different or if I'm unique, people won't appreciate that, right? So instead of doing that, you mimic or you copy other people, or um you become obsessed with other you this can be females too, right? And men with other men. Like, let me see how this person is doing that, and I'm going to try to mimic them. But that's because you are unable to see the value in your own individuality. So that's distorted feminine energy. Which may lead to competition or comparison in some way to other feminines. And you may be a person who finds it hard to have these connections because you place yourself in that energy, right? And sometimes, and don't get me wrong, because sometimes you are the recipient of that energy from other people, and it's not because of something that you're doing, right? um yeah, even in feminines, you may be someone who's obsessed with status, obsessed with recognition, obsessed with money, obsessed with power. um and that's a result of inner emptiness as well, right? Let's see. When you are in your divine feminine energy, y'all, we about to be done right now. 'Cause I forgot my boy started playing 2:33 minutes ago. But this was important information. So I'm glad we're here. I wanted to share with y'all. When you're in your divine feminine energy, though, you are understanding that you don't have anything to prove, right? You're understanding that whatever it is, your talent, your gift, your purpose, whatever it is that you are being guided to use and to share with the world, that creative energy, um, it's not to get all these other things. It's to offer some type of help, some type of assistance. It's not to prove your worth, because you know your worth, right? You're definitely going to be comfortable in your natural beauty or made up, right? You're not going to be defined by society. Um, and of course, you do place a priority on your physical health and your vitality. So you're not ashamed of getting older. You're not obsessed with being a certain size or a certain weight for what's acceptable, because you love you as you are. You also are in an energy where you radiate that love, right? So people reflect how you carry yourself. They reflect that loving energy back to you automatically because it's what you exude. Okay. Um, oh, this was a very important one. The divine feminine in her balanced energy understands that she attracts and doesn't chase. Her divine feminine energy draws the masculine energy to her. So you're not going to be pursuing connection after connection after connection, trying to figure out if this is the one, if this is the one, if this is the one, because at some point you're going to understand that this feminine energy power is going to draw the person that's supposed to be with me, near me, to me, right? Okay. You're definitely going to be open to co-creating healing in your relationships. You're going to be in that energy of being a choosy lover, right? You're not sharing your body with any and everybody. You're not sharing, over sexualizing yourself, right, in a way that attracts unhealthy attention, right? Because you don't need that validation because you know what you're working with, right? You are open to using your natural gifts and your passions to create a stability for you so that you don't need someone to come in and rescue you. You're not in that damsel in distress energy. That outside validation is not what's necessary, right? Because you know what your gifts are and how you're sharing them and that you're walking in your purpose. And that's like can be a slippery slope, right? Because it kind of takes a while sometimes to figure out where your gift or your talent is needed or your purpose lies. And I'm not saying you have to be single all that time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying be careful of allowing that energy to become distorted. Um, you are also someone who is confident in your own personal truths, and that is what guides your actions. Your personal truths and your strong intuition guide your actions, which means you're not going to be overly reliant on other people's guidance, right? Definitely at one point in my life, I was so indecisive, right? Where I would have to get three, four opinions just to get dressed. You know what I'm saying? But now, even it's been a while, but I trust my intuition and I wear what I like, right? And I say just to get dressed, not just to get dressed every day, but just to get dressed to go out or to go to an event, right? You have to ask three, four people. Nope, we're not in that energy anymore because I trust myself and I'm gonna pick what I like, right? And trust that it's gonna be received however it is I'm trying to give it. Okay, okay. You also have a desire to foster connection, loving connections, healing connections, balanced connections. So you're not in that energy like, yeah, everybody like this, so all men are like this, so I don't want no relationship. First of all, we were not created to be single for all of our lives or to be alone for all of our lives. Second of all, when you are in a balanced energy, you're supposed to want to connect. You should desire that connection. So I see so much of it on social media too, where people be like, "That's why I'm single. That's why I'm not dating." No, that's not why, baby. That's not why. Be honest with yourself so you can heal and be open to the type of connection that you want to attract. Right? Um, you're also not, like I said, you're not seduced by money or status. Like you see the value in it, and you know that it provides a certain level of comfort. But because you trust your ability to create that for yourself, can't nobody wave $10 at you and you be all over them, right? And it ain't gotta be $10. I under exaggerated there. But you know what I'm saying? Like this guy who has all this money thinking he can buy your energy, your affection, your attention because he does have money, right? I have a friend who kept saying to me, I got three jobs. I got three jobs. Okay. Like, and you're still emotionally 10 years old. So, you know, pick your poison. When I feel like that emotional thing carries more weight than your three jobs. So still it's a no, right? So that kind of energy. Anyway, guys, this was really fun for me. Girl, don't take the bait, honey. This was really fun. I hope I really enjoyed sharing this information with y'all because like I feel like it's super helpful, But also, I know that there was a reason that Kay and I were guided to have this conversation. And we didn't even get this in depth, y'all. We were more so talking about like when we were discussing the single moms and whatnot, knowing when to pull that energy back and to allow a man. Like one example I do remember giving her was my son. I have a special needs son, and when he was little, he didn't walk. He walked for like right at 1, and then he didn't do that shit no more for like a year. So, so I carried him. You know how the car seat thing. So I'm carrying him in a carrier all the time. Yeah, I probably still got calluses from that. But anyway, so I'm holding him in the carrier. We're walking into the church from the car, and like my godfather and godmother, and they're not technically that, but they just, it's easier to say that than explain the relationship. So they was like right behind me, and I'm holding him. I got my heels on, purse on one side, bag on the other side, and I'm holding this kid. I get to the door, I'm holding the kid, but I still try to open the door. She's like, She said, "That's all right." And my uncle was like, let me get this door, girl." And she said, "That's all right. She just doing what she know how to do." Right? That and I assure you, at that time of my life, I was definitely in my masculine energy, right? Because he was going through a lot. I was primary caregiver and the only parent he had, and so I had to be in that action state all the time, 24/7, instead of falling back with this man right here, allowing this man to be chivalrous and to open the door and to create that space for us and for me, right? I did what I had grown accustomed to doing, and that was trying to hold all this shit and get the dough, right? Because I was able to do it because it's what I had done for so long. And so when she said, "That's all right, baby, you just doing what you used to doing," and I was like, "That's right," I was like, "That's right. I am. I'm used to doing that, right?" So yeah, I think about that example all the time. How accurate it was, because when, like I said, you fall into that masculine energy, you just get used to being there and staying there. Um, but yeah, once you know better, honey, you do better. All right, you do better. I hope this was helpful, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Even the ones who have been in and out, I pray you come back and pick something else, like another part or snippet that you can take something from. I really hope this was helpful, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See y'all soon.